Moments. Now, we're your hurricane headquarters, and sure, we have a few more weeks before the official start of hurricane season, but today starts Hurricane Preparedness Week. This is the time to get everything ready before we get to June 1st. So that way you know everything as far as what you need to have on hand to be as prepared as possible. And for your Sunday today, determine your risk. Because remember, hurricanes, they don't only threaten coastal areas. Yeah, there's some impacts that are more significant along the coast, but several hundred miles inland, these conditions could be felt, especially when it comes to flooding. So now is the time that where you live, you need to determine what would be your primary threats and concerns when it comes to any type of potential storm. So being prepared, also part of it is knowing your evacuation route.
Right, so important to take all of this seriously, especially after looking through a survey recently conducted by USF. Our Angelina Salcido found that a lot of people are wanting to avoid hurricane shelters still this year because of COVID-19 concerns.
Evacuations during hurricane season are the norm in Florida.
Get everybody out of here.
But in 2020, COVID-19 changed that dynamic.
We had residents that were very adamant about not leaving.
Elizabeth Dunn, one of many USF scientists using a survey to study hurricane preparedness in Tampa Bay.
What did you find last year? Because we were at the height of the pandemic during hurricane season.
Some of the sediment was more centered around having a fear of maybe COVID or not understanding or not feeling confident to go into maybe a shelter.
They noticed a potentially deadly trend. One of the first questions asked if people would go to a shelter during an evacuation order. 85% said no. They would rather ride out the storm. 68% didn't feel proper measures would be taken to prevent the spread of COVID-19 at a shelter.
It really was a concern because shelters very well may be a safer alternative if you are in an area ordered to evacuate from a hurricane because you're at threat from a storm surge or something.
In 2020, emergency managers used the data to develop plans for socially distanced shelters with strict COVID-19 protocols. They'll be doing the same again this year.
Still have to have those COVID precautions and plans in place, which we do.
With more than 9 million people vaccinated in Florida, researchers hope that immunity will help people feel safe to evacuate if needed.
I'm hopeful now that vaccines have come out this year that people will now consider shelters in their evacuation planning if they need to.